You found the perfect house. You went to the open home, maybe twice. You pictured where the couch would go, imagined summer barbecues on the deck, and started thinking, this could actually be our first home. You made an offer. After some negotiation, it was accepted. Maybe you got assistance and help and guidance from an agent, although that's in a different episode. You're under contract. Woohoo! That's exciting, isn't it? Well, this is exactly where many first home buyers suddenly get overwhelmed, because now comes the due diligence. And suddenly words like building report, LIM, insurance, unconsented works, floodplains, and solicitor approval start getting thrown around. So should you panic, or is this actually just a normal part of the buying property? Today I'm going to walk you through what due diligence really means, what issues matter, what issues don't matter so much, and how not to freak out when the building report lands in your inbox. Now, first things first, just because your offer has been accepted doesn't mean the property is sold. In many cases, your agreement will still be conditional. This means you've got a set time frame, often around 10 to 15 working days, to satisfy your conditions to purchase. This usually includes things like finance approval, reviewing the LIM report, getting a building report, having your solicitor review the agreement and check the title, making sure the property can be insured. And in some situations, buyers may also want the property tested for methamphetamine contamination. Now, don't let that all sound overwhelming. This stage is actually there to protect you. It gives you the opportunity to slow things down and probably understand what you're buying. Because buying property is emotional, but good decisions come from good information. So let's start with a building report. And here's the first thing I want you to remember. Every property has a shopping list. Just like your car needs maintenance over time, every house will usually have items identified that may need attention. Now, the job of a building inspector is to discover and report on everything they observe, internally and externally. Sometimes first-home buyers get their building report back and immediately panic. Suddenly, there's a long list of things. Maybe some roofing iron is rust, a gutter needs replacing, there's moisture staining somewhere, the hot water temperature is too high. Don't laugh, I'll tell you more about that in a minute. A retaining wall may need monitoring, or there's evidence of a historical leak. And suddenly buyers start thinking, oh no, we're buying a disaster. But often, that's not actually the reality. What you really want to understand is what needs immediate attention, what should be monitored, and what's simply normal maintenance over time. I sold a property a while back where the building inspector identified 3 fairly straightforward issues: some damaged roofing iron and guttering, a toilet leak, and the hot water was running too hot. The buyers became overwhelmed by the report and decided they couldn't move forward. Now, the owners fixed the issues within a week, and shortly after, another family purchased the property with confidence, and they're living there to this day. Now, I'm not saying ignore building reports, far from it. Read them thoroughly, but then, and this is important, speak to the building inspector. Ask questions. Get context. Just understand the seriousness, likely cost, and time frame to fix things. These homes, and most homes, unless you're buying a brand new one, have lived a life and will need maintenance. Because sometimes a long report simply reflects a very thorough inspector. A big report doesn't always mean a big problem. Now, before we even get to due diligence, there are things a good listing agent should already be disclosing to you. For example, any known defects known by the seller, or if the home has certain cladding systems that historically have had weather tightness concerns, like monolithic plaster homes from roughly the 1990s through the early 2000s. Now, and this is important, that doesn't automatically mean that there's a problem. Many of these homes are perfectly dry, well maintained, and perform extremely well, but you should be aware. so you can make an informed purchase decision. Sometimes buyers need 2 visits to a property. The first visit is emotional and the second visit is practical. That's where you start slowing down and noticing details you may have missed the first time around. Now let's talk about the LIM, or as it's known, the Land Information Memorandum. This is where things can start sounding scary. This is a report that the council have on file, a summary of everything that they know about the property. But it really doesn't need to be scary. The LIM is your local council summarising key information, as I mentioned. But here's a really important tip. The LIM is often as much about what's not in it as what is. Why? Because if council doesn't know something exists, it won't appear. Let's say somebody converted a garage into a bedroom without consent, built a deck over 1 metre high, or installed a tiled shower without following the correct consent processes. Council records may not show it, and that matters. Now here's a really common example. Owners renovate and install that beautiful tiled shower with the tiled floor. Looks fantastic. But the waterproofing generally requires building consent. Sometimes the owner simply didn't know. Sometimes the builder or tiler never explained it. Now hopefully the waterproofing installer is accredited and has provided a PS3 producer statement showing the work complies with the building code requirements. But the process is only fully completed when the council signs that work off and issues what's called a code compliance certificate, or CCC. And ideally that becomes part of the property record and will be shown in the LIM. Now before you panic, in many cases the shower is absolutely fine. No leaks, no issue at all. But it's something you should investigate and understand. Take the time to ask the agent about disclosures. Read the building section of the LIM carefully and compare that information to what you physically see when walking through the property. Now here's something many first home buyers don't realise. The bank won't usually lend money on a property that can't be insured. So insurance matters. If there's unconsented work, speak with insurers early. Be upfront, disclose everything. In many cases the home can still be insured, but there may be exclusions relating to the unconsented work. And every insurer assesses risk differently, and so do the banks. So shop around. And remember, not every issue means the deal is dead. Sometimes issues can be fixed. Sometimes risks can be managed. And sometimes it simply becomes part of your negotiation or long-term ownership plan. Another issue showing up more frequently in LIM reports, floodplains or overland flow paths. Now I know this can sound alarming. Nobody wants their living room underwater, but context matters. Council flood designations are often computer modelled based on land contours and water movement. So here's a really important question to ask. What actually happened during the severe Auckland weather events in early 2023 if you are a listener who's looking at buying a property in Auckland? Did water enter the home? Was an insurance claim made? What remediation work has been done since? Has drainage improved? Is the house elevated? Sometimes a property flagged on a map has little or no meaningful impact at all. Other homes may generally have vulnerabilities. A great example particularly is garage to bedroom conversions that sit lower to the main floor of the house and obviously weren't consented properly. Again, it's about understanding risk and not panicking. Here's the biggest takeaway I want you to remember. No property is perfect. The goal isn't avoiding every issue. The goal is understanding what you are buying, what can be fixed, what can be managed, and what risks you're particularly comfortable taking on. Sometimes due diligence protects you from making a bad purchase. Other times it simply gives you the confidence to move forward. And if you're looking at a property right now, don't stop here. Watch this next video because there may be title or ownership issues that most buyers completely miss. See it down below. Cross-lease what most buyers miss. It could save you from an expensive mistake. And if you found this video helpful, follow Inside Property New Zealand for practical advice to help first home buyers make smarter property decisions. Thanks for watching.